For this video, we're going to practice numbers 0 through 100. We really need up to at least 31 to be able to talk about the monthly calendar. And then we also need up to 60 to be able to talk about time. If you're going to specify 1:59 in the afternoon, for example. And then up to 100 is going to be really useful for talking about prices. So the numbers are the basis of a lot of things in a language, and that's why we want to get these out of the way. We want to understand how they work, and they actually get easier the higher you go, which sounds kind of funny. So I'd like to go over from the beginning. I'm just going to say the numbers for the pronunciation purposes. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now, from 21 to 29, it's not that different. There is a slight change if you take a look here. The E in 20 is going to become an I, but with the exception of that, it's pretty regular. It still follows the pattern of saying 21, 22, 23, etc., just like in English. So let's practice those. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. And then once we get up to 30, everything is going to become regular after that, even more regular than the 20s. So if I want to say 33, for example, I'm going to say 30, which I have over here on my list, and then I'm going to add 3, which we already know. If you know your numbers up to 9, you're going to be able to say any of the numbers up to 99 just by knowing the tens. So you would say this as 33. You might hear some people say E between the numbers. I've seen it taught both ways in schools in Latin America. Some places say 33, and some places teach it as 33. Personally, I hear it without the E more often, unless you're writing something like a check or a very official document. That's the way that I hear it. Now let's practice a couple numbers. How would you say 45? 40 is 40. And then we want to add the 5 after it. 45. What about 59? 50 is 50. 9, 9. 61, 60 is going to be 60. And 1 is 1. and so on and so forth. up until you get to 99. Let's go over the numbers 30 through 90 just for pronunciation purposes. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. The two that people typically have a harder time with are 60 and 70, sesenta and setenta, because there's really only one little letter separating these. So those tend to be harder to hear than the other ones. And then when you get to 100 exactly, it's going to be cien, only if it's exactly 100. So it's really important to practice these. If you can practice them in a realistic way, including them into your everyday lives, it's going to be much more meaningful, much more interesting than just reading off of a list, and you're going to learn them quicker than if you would in any other way. So anytime that you're going to use numbers up to 100, I would suggest that you try your hardest to include them in Spanish, even if you're counting to yourself. You can count out loud to practice your speaking and pronunciation, and it's really going to make a big difference. That's going to be it for this video.